This is the Digital Savage Experience Podcast, hosted by Roman Prokopchuk, bringing you all things digital marketing, tech, business, and motivation. What's stopping you from becoming relentless in all aspects of life? Are you ready to become a digital savage? Let's get into today's episode.
Hey everyone, this is Roman Prokopchuk, and this is the Digital Savage Experience Podcast. Today I have with me Luke Peters. Luke is the host of Page One Podcast, CEO of retail brand agency that helps product brands sell online into the big box retailers like Home Depot, Lowe's, Wayfair, Walmart, and more. He's also the CEO and founder of Newair Appliances, a brand of fun beer coolers, wine coolers, and more cool appliances. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Roman. Excited to speak to the audience and be on your show. Thanks.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming on. So tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you get to where you are now? Obviously, you're kind of in a lot of things. How did you get to that point?
Oh, man, that's a long story. How far back you want me to start?
How far you want to go back in terms of, relevance?
Yeah. Okay. So, well, just, as a kid, I was always working newspaper route. And then I had a swimming pool service, cleaning and fixing swimming pools through college. So I had a business there. Sold that after I graduated college and worked as a hazardous waste scientist. That wasn't that fun, actually. It was great helping the groundwater, but the job itself wasn't the most stimulating. And then my little brother started selling stuff online. So he was, driving a nice car, and I'm driving a beat up stick shift truck from Huntington Beach all the way through LA to the other side of LA. And I just kind of learned a little bit from him, and then also just burned the midnight oil and started Newair at that point with my wife, and really just kind of out of the garage and just grinded and really learned a lot about SEO and direct to consumer sales, and just grew that business for like 10 years. And then kind of made a big pivot and started selling the brand more like on a B2B direction, because what happened is, it's become really hard to resell products, because obviously with the rise of Amazon and the other large retailers, Walmart, Home Depot, and all those guys, Target, everybody got into the game. Everybody, kind of woke up around 2012, 2010 and, had marketing departments and SEO departments. And then right around that time, it was really hard to get Page One rankings on Google, or it became harder. It was so much easier before that for these key terms that we were competing with. So then we kind of decided to pivot and sell into those guys. They've got these big marketing machines, and really just grow the Newair brand. And that's what we've been doing ever since. And then, along the way, I've always wanted to start agencies. Friends have started agencies, advertising, Amazon agencies, SEO agencies. And so just this past year, I said, hey, we know how to sell into these retailers really well. It's a combination of how we think about their algorithms and SEO and content, product launches. And so I started another business, and now we kind of can help other companies who, they might be good in store, or they might be good on Amazon, but they're not good on Wayfair, or not good on HD, or not good on Lowe's, and these other sites. And that's kind of what got me to this point here.
No, that's awesome. And is there specific kind of products or product brands you work with, or you kind of cover, across the board?
It's across the board, and it's so new. It's really fresh. It's just the last couple of months, but the response has been amazing. And so dealing with companies, all different types of, obviously, consumer product companies, but I would say the interesting thing is, it's from companies that have almost no presence. So they really are great at the product, and they just don't get digital, and they're looking for some help. And we can take over and essentially be their whole sales and marketing platform to companies that are in store, and they're really strong companies in store, but they're not focused on digital, to companies that are focused on Amazon, but not understanding how many sales they're kind of giving up by not being focused on Home Depot, Wayfair, and everybody else. So you got to, basically, it's usually one of those three categories, and each one of them has different needs.
No, I agree. I think it's important to be on all those. And I think SEO has changed a lot. I got into SEO in 2009 when it was kind of the Wild West. And you can do a lot of things that you can do now in terms of ranking, and especially broader rankings. Now, obviously, rankings are tailored to specific user. Obviously, if you're logged into Google, you have components like, AI rank brain for Google, but it's still an important component for, sales and traffic to your site.
Yeah. Roman, you're bringing up the good old days though. That it was it was like you said, the Wild West, but it was a lot of fun, and there's some cool conferences, and I know they still happen now, but it's so much has changed, just like you said, from then until now.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing to have. If you don't have a marketing team that focuses on digital, especially SEO, you need either an expert or an agency to help you through those things that are ever changing, because obviously updates come out all the time and things that pivot. You have to look at competitors as well, what competitors are doing in that space to, keep up or stay ahead. So I think that's very important.
Yeah. And what's interesting is just in talking to some prospects, some of them are like, they're really worried about spending a couple $1,000s, and you never want to outshine somebody. What it took for them to get where they are now was some amazing ideas and execution, but on the digital side, we know, and just like yourself, you can help people. And sometimes they're just so cautious about spending a couple $1,000s, but they don't understand the benefit or even the internal savings. Like they're doing stuff in-house and they can just outsource it and repurpose, what they're spending. So it's like net, not even an increase, if you know what I mean. So it's just that mindset, I think can really help brand owners, and just shifting that mindset to seeing how big of an opportunity is out there.
Yeah, and I think it's educating also, because I've had people where they get billboards, but obviously you can hardly measure ROI other than if you have a tracking number, or if you have a shortened URL, subfolder that you're tracking traffic to. And usually there's not much ROI, but if they spend $10,000, $20,000 for a month on a billboard, they can possibly stretch that out for months in terms of a digital spend to, wherever best you see fit to spend those funds.
Total 100%. Yeah. And that goes for everything, even within Amazon, just as a point right now, because I know Amazon has, their AMS or whatever they're calling it these days, their advertising, but other people are really successful, utilizing Facebook ads, just because, so there's always another way or another creative way. And just like you said, looking at what everybody's doing and using that same spend, but optimizing it in a better way.
Yep, and tailoring a campaign that works, obviously, like you said, for that client, because there's a lot of agencies that are kind of churn and burn, cookie cutter, like a factory kind of standard. So tailoring a campaign where, you're utilizing and that marketing spend is going to kind of the right avenues for the maximum reach.
Yeah. What I found is, my goal, so I didn't need another business. I just did it because, like I told you, along the way, I kind of regretted not starting other ones. And I like talking to people and helping them. And I think if you come at it from that approach, because otherwise it can become, there's a lot of, luckily in my space, I created, we're doing something that really nobody's doing. And that was kind of my idea. But just saying, hey, coming out as the trusted advisor, we're a consultant as well. We're there to help these companies. And what we're doing for them is what we're doing for our own brands, and not being desperate about it. Literally just, charging what we're worth, but making sure that we're providing, 10x value and coming across as that trusted advisor of theirs, I think is kind of my vision for, creating a strong agency.
Yeah, I agree. So what motivates you to succeed?
It's also, I'm just a little bit ADD, I always have to be doing something. So if it's typical probably for like a lot of us, I just can't shut down my head sometimes. I'm always thinking about it. So it's probably just, that drive, but also, like when I was younger, I wasn't a good student, and, as much as I love sports, I was never like, the best basketball player or the best surfer. So kind of just, just proving to myself, that I can, do things better and build something that, maybe or just perform better than maybe I was in some of those other aspects of my life in the past. You know what I mean? Just that internal drive of, man, I never actually hit the top. I wasn't like the star player in any of those leagues I played in. So that kind of inside of you can kind of put a chip on your shoulder, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I mentioned it on this podcast and other podcasts where like the mentality of it's you versus you kind of, so you're competing with no one else but yourself and kind of getting better each day. And that would be the goal.
Yeah. Just challenging yourself.
So what's one thing you may have had in the past as a weakness that you've taken and turned into a strength and utilized today?
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, probably, overthinking things can definitely be a weakness. And getting too much into the weeds, which I definitely can have a propensity to do. But it's funny, as much as a lot of folks will say that's a bad thing for CEOs to do, it can also be a blessing when you do it correctly, because you can't let things happen inside the company that you're not aware of either. Obviously, you have to trust your team and build a great team, and all those things, are 100%. Anybody successful will tell you those things, and they're obvious. But I've been able to turn that into, when you overthink, sometimes you can get into the weeds, like I said. But then if you overthink, don't share right away, hold on to your ideas, formulate stronger plans, and then have a little bit of restraint on sending that email or sending that plan right away, and really thinking about things, then it can turn into a strength, because you're really thinking about what your MITs or most important things are, and taking your time and looking at your surroundings. Even though you're always thinking, now you're coming up with a plan that is going to push that company forward, instead of a task list all the time of like, why isn't this done? Why isn't that done? So I think that's the way that I think I've been able to turn that one around.
I agree. And I think that's also tied into kind of emotional IQ, not getting upset about certain things when it comes to business, and kind of taking a kind of clear mind approach to, that aspect. 100%.
And I know from people that I work with, sometimes they don't always, because I can be intense or direct, but at the same time, I don't, get upset, because I just want to solve problems, but I know a lot, I can probably ask the question in a better way that wouldn't kind of set somebody to think that along those lines. But, at the heart of it, it's just problem solving. Just like you said, you got to have a clear mind and just be after the problem.
Yep. And I think understanding where other people are coming from, because obviously there's different personalities, different kind of, goals, but still focused on kind of the same, top tier goal. And you don't know what kind of things people are going through in their personal lives, and other things that they may take into the workplace or into a professional settings that, may be kind of weighing them down. Because most people, if you ask people, how are you today? Almost 99.9% of the time, they'll say, oh, I'm good, even though they may be dealing with disease, loss, depression, anxiety, and things like that. So I think that's important to consider as well.
Yeah, and that one, and frankly, that can be hard to get at sometimes. Definitely want to be close to your team and really get to know them. But it's a great point you bring up, because it's so hard to pull that information from people, and they don't always want to share it. But I would say, kind of closely related to that, one thing I've learned is, really improving. And I can tell my team has even brought this up, that we need better communication. I'm sure that's for most companies, but I think making sure everybody understands why we're doing things, that's a big thing that we've done this year. When everybody understands the why, because I think people naturally want to do good and they want to contribute, but they don't always know, why they're doing what they're doing or how it affects the ultimate outcome. So definitely have been trying to include more about why. Everybody should know why, and also communicating more throughout the company, throughout the whole company, not just, the top leadership team. So those are things as well that I've learned this year that definitely seen a big benefit.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, I think it's important to have a scope for the whole company, see how the whole company is doing, things that the company may be dealing with, positives, because if you kind of keep that on the executive level, and if there is a problem or something to solve, the whole, org structure can benefit and possibly, propose solutions that you may not even thought of, what their job is and how they're looking at the problem.
Yeah. And the thing is just, because I told you I was a hazardous waste scientist a long time ago. And what you find out is, people get into silos and they work on things and it never changes, but maybe they should have changed. So what happens is, 50% of the time is just wasted working on stuff that doesn't kind of matter for the ultimate outcome, if you know what I mean. So that's where the communication is great, because just because someone's been doing something for a year, should they continue doing it? And also, I want everybody to be able to have that voice and ask those questions, and challenge everybody at the company, including me. So hopefully through that, I say it all the time. It doesn't always happen, but more and more people will, they'll challenge me like in a good way, to solve a problem and we can say, hey, yeah, why were we doing that? Or let's change this. And I think most businesses, unless you're really huge and providing like a really specific service, like most of them are always having to change and reinvent themselves. So you got to have people that can do that too.
Yeah, I agree. So what's one piece of advice you can leave with the audience, personal or professional?
Yeah. And, I would say the biggest piece is that most people can accomplish a lot more than they think they can. And especially when you're young, and I'm just saying this from personal experience, like I told you, I was just like a C student in high school, took forever to graduate college, did really good at the end, but, it took a long time after too many surf trips to Mexico and messing around and screwing around for a couple of years. But anyways, I would say that, if people can accomplish more, but you hear that a lot. So I would maybe say it a different way, in that intentionally working and really understanding what your most important things are and putting time into it, you're not just going to like accomplish twice as much. You're literally going to accomplish like 10 times as much, because if you look at somebody who isn't focused on that, and again, I'm only measuring like work. There's so many areas of success in life, right? So let's just make that clear as well. But just talking about work and business success, that if you can look at somebody over a course of 10 years or 5 years, and they're just punching a clock and doing the same thing every day, versus really intentionally thinking about what's going to move them forward, or a company forward, or their company forward, and really focusing on those, it's such a massive improvement that it's the value that somebody can bring. And so everybody should kind of understand that. And I think when people are younger, they're not thinking about that. They're just kind of thinking about, how can I get a job? Or, man, I hope somebody will hire me. And what they're not realizing is that if they show up every day and put that time in, they're going to be so invaluable for that company that, it's just going to blow their mind. So just a different mindset and a different way of thinking.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of founders and CEOs I know were kind of like C students that weren't necessarily motivated, or the standard education system really didn't motivate them, because the standard education system sometimes tells you, work on your weaknesses, but not necessarily kind of double down on your strengths. So when you start finding something you're passionate about and you're good at, putting all your focus on that and being the best at that, instead of trying to improve some of those weaknesses from the professional sense, because a lot of those professional weaknesses, you can either hire a strong team or outsource those things you may be weak at and focus on the strengths.
100%, Roman. I agree with you, because there's a lot of things I hate doing, and I just won't do them. I'll have somebody else do them because they're going to be way better at it than I am. So definitely 100% agree with that point.
So I really appreciate you stopping by today. Can you let the audience know how they can find you?
Sure thing. And thanks for having me. You have a great show and great style. So thankful for being here. Find me on LinkedIn. Relatively active there, and also check out my Page One podcast with the number one, Page One, and new company is retailband.com, and you could shoot me an email, Luke at retailband, if you're a consumer products brand and looking for some help in those areas we spoke about.
Awesome. Thanks again for stopping by.
Thank you, Roman. Appreciate it.
Hey everyone, this is Roman Prokopchuk from Roman Prokopchuk's Digital Savage Experience podcast. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free, so that's always good. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
This podcast has been brought to you by Nova Zora Digital. Find out how Nova Zora Digital can help your company grow online. Learn more at novazoradigital.com. Until next time, all you digital savages.